cyberspace, please bear with us yet. We are still having some technical difficulties getting our team members here for us to get started. But in the meantime, please share the show. And we want to also say welcome to Focus on Liberia, to our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sie. We are doing all we can to get this program going. So share the video with your contact while we get everything set up to go. Folks in cyberspace, we want to say welcome to our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sie, here at Focus on Liberia. In a very short moment, we will resume our program. This is The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sie, here at Focus on Liberia. We are having some technical difficulties. We should be having Mr. James Flomo with us, and also Mr. Amara Kane. That's sorry, Mr. Edward Amara. Again, I'm sorry, Mr. Edward Amara, who should be joining us from Freetown, Sierra Leone. He is our West African correspondent. So bear with us in a moment while we get this taken care of to get the program started. Again, folks in cyberspace, we are working around the clock to make sure that we are all set here to get started. We should be having with us Mr. G. Flomo. James Flomo is our correspondent in Liberia, and we should also be having with us Mr. Edward Amara, who is our West African correspondent based in Freetown, Sierra Leone. They should be joining us. We seem to be having some technical difficulty. As soon as they join us, we will get started. And also, we want to take this time to welcome you folks in cyberspace to Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sie. For our today's program, we'll be looking at so many topics, a couple of them, so to speak. Liberia, your country, Liberia, our country, Liberia, has lost its membership on the Executive Council of the International Monetary Fund. We will be looking into that. We will also be looking at a statement from Reverend Emmanuel Reeves. Emmanuel Reeves recently said that the President of the Republic of Liberia should fire all of his cabinet. So bear with us. These are many topics we will be looking into. Share the program while we get our panelists here on this platform.
Hello.
All right, folks, as you can see there, Mr. James Flomo just joined us. So momentarily, we will get the ball rolling. Again, please, we apologize for the technical difficulty we are having at the very start of the program, but all is being done to rescue this situation and get this program going, the hour of politics here on Focus on Liberia. James, finally, the technical difficulty has been resolved.
Mhm. I'm not hearing you again.
Special welcome to Focus on Live. Can you hear me?
You break in a bit.
All right, is it better now, James?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm getting you a bit.
All right, right. I just said welcome and welcome to Focus on Liberia, to our program, The Hour of Politics.
Well, thank you very much, and it is an honor to be here and to also share share the platform with you. It's an honor for me, and I'm happy. I'm happy to be a part of this discussion.
Thank you so very much. Folks in cyberspace, Jim is our correspondent in the homeland, the Republic of Liberia. Today, we will be talking about the political stories that are making the news in Liberia, the political stories that everybody talking about in Liberia. James, before we get started here quickly, let me give you the things that we will be talking about. We will be talking about Liberia losing its executive membership on the Executive Council of the International Monetary Fund. That is one of those topics we understand people in Liberia are talking about. And also we'll be talking about Reverend Emmanuel Reeves. Reverend Emmanuel Reeves has thrown a bombshell to the Liberian people, suggesting that the president of the Republic of Liberia should fire his entire cabinet. We will be looking into that, and we will also be looking at
that's very welcome. That's welcoming for some people, and it's also laughable in other sectors.
Okay, can you believe that? And we'll also be looking at the shortage of the Liberian currency on the market. Eugene's had a very unique experience. You try to get the truth, and then you will be telling that story. And also, we'll also be talking about harmonization. And the last topic that we will be discussing is December 30th. As you know, it's heated. The divide can't be that sharp. So folks in cyberspace, again, we want to welcome you in a special way to our program, The Hour of Politics, here on this network, Focus on Liberia. James, your impression, first of all.
I did not understand what you said.
Yeah, I said your impression, first of all. Welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Well, my impression is I'm just happy to be here, and it's just something that we all have to be here to come and share a great platform with great people, talk to great viewers, and get comments from great viewers, and it's something that anyone would want to have.
That's very good. That's very good. That is James Gooded Flomo right there. James, now our audience have been waiting. It's about time for us to go to our program. So James, Liberia lost its executive membership on the International Monetary, not International Monetary Fund, the International Maritime. Yeah. Liberia has lost its executive membership. Many people are talking about it. You are in Liberia. So how is it like in Liberia?
It's something that we cannot really rush to talk about. That has to do with the policy leading to Liberia not gaining her membership or not maintaining her membership, and it's something everyone in Liberia talking about. But the question now is, or the plight of Liberians is, how can we regain? Is the major problem, not to keep shifting blames. You were the one, or this person was the reason of us not maintaining our spot at the marathon. So now our focus is, how can we get there? it is something that is disturbing because you have to be there, you need to be seated, and somewhere you've been for a couple of years, uh, you've been there for a couple of years, and surprising to you, you're leaving based on certain qualification. Is a national loss. It's a national loss to us. And again, we see it like another advantage for us to take bold steps in terms of maintaining. That is, government needs to work on those places that she did not work on better, that led to that led to the missing of the seats. These places have to be worked on.
That was James Flomo there, our correspondent in Liberia, giving us a rundown of this very important story that has surfaced not only in Liberia, but on the international scale. Our country, Liberia, has completely lost that seat, that membership on the Executive Council of the International Maritime Organization. And it is sad. And so, James, are people trying to hold the government responsible in any way, shape, or form?
Politics has played, or politics is playing major role. Everyone will want to politicize everything or all of the things in Liberia. So people not really talking about it expected, because it's something that you cannot just blame this government. It's something that you can't say it is because of President Weah's administration that we lost our seat. It is not really being discussed on a wider scale, like the way we talk about other things. And it's not really being discussed in Liberia, though you have other news agencies talking about it. They carry the news, but in terms of our day-to-day interactions, we're not really talking about it. In the rural communities, people are not talking about it compared to other development, like salary issue, like the We Are Steps Down campaign. It is not really taking that center stage. And some will say it is because of other developments that we are not, all Liberians are not really educated to it. That is why you see them not talking about it. It is not really being discussed all over Liberia. From the very first day when it was reported, and the following day people talk about it a bit, they cool down, and now I think government is working on how to find solutions to solve the problem.
Well, James, other people looking at this development, because if you follow the trends of events on the International Maritime Organization, at some point, Liberia executive membership on the Executive Council was suspended. My understanding is that Liberia were off that Executive Council for 11 years, not until I believe in 2014, when Liberia made some efforts and was able to gain that membership on the Executive Council of the International Maritime Organization. So people are saying that that speaks to leadership. Leadership was being provided to bring Liberia back, to that very important council. Other people call it committee. And now to see that we have a new government, maybe a new leadership style, and that the Liberia has lost, this membership on a very important council, people think that it's because our current administration is not providing excellent leadership. That's people who understand the issue. What you say to that?
The issue that has to do with this maritime issue, it is not just about President Weah. When we came back around 2014, we still have problem in 2015 that we needed to work on. The problem continued up to 2016. Around 2017, the election came in, things that the government needed to have worked on. She was not working on them. Everyone's attention was on the electoral processes. We went to election. After election, what we were all
Folks in cyberspace, if you are just going, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony C.A. We have with us Mr. James Goodday Flomo. James Goodday Flomo is a practicing journalist in the Republic of Liberia. He joined us today to talk about the political stories that everybody talking about in the homeland. We seem to be having some difficulty there with James. Currently, we are talking about Liberia losing 8 membership on the Executive Council of the International Maritime Organization. It is a leadership deficit that has led to Liberia being suspended from that very important membership. Our understanding also is that Kuwait has regained that membership on the Executive Council that Liberia could not maintain. And so does this speak to leadership of our current administration? Is the current administration doing, providing excellent leadership? Then that is the question everybody trying to find answer for, because if they are providing excellent leadership in every respect, Liberia should be able to maintain that membership. And as a matter of fact, as I was saying earlier, Liberia did lose that membership sometime back. And then when Ellen came in, our understanding is that there were efforts being made, and Liberia gained that membership in 2012 and has been on it up to now until recently it's being announced that Liberia no longer maintains that particular important membership on the Executive Council of the International Monetary Fund. Folks in cyberspace, as you are just joining us, my name is Anthony C.A. I'm the host here on this program, The Hour of Politics on Focus on Liberia. Folks, if you have joined us, please share the video. And if you want to participate, we have a phone number there starting with 651. You can place a phone call to us, and then you can make your comment or make a statement about what we are discussing. And so, folks, please share the video with your contacts as we continue on with our conversation here with Mr. James Goodday Flomo, a journalist in Liberia, who has joined us today to talk about these very important political topics making news in Liberia, or that everybody talking about in the homeland. As we speak, we just lost James. You may be aware we have Propo network in Liberia. Everything is Propo, so he's just going off and on. But we will continue with our conversation, folks. Again, my name is Anthony C. I'm the host here at The Hour of Politics on this network, Focus on Liberia. So let's go to another bunch here that is making news in the motherland. There is a man of God, a preacher named Reverend Reeves. Reverend Reeves, last Sunday, it has been reported in the papers that has asked the president of the Republic of Liberia to fire his entire cabinet. Mr. Reeves believed that the current team that the president has helping him to steer the affairs of our nation, that team is losing the game. In his own words, he said the team is losing the game. He believed the team is losing a game evidenced by the harsh economic situation faced in our country. So he is recommending, he is asking that the president fire his entire cabinet so that the government can get a reset button on this issue. Bear with me here, folks, in cyberspace. It seems to be our correspondent is trying to join. Let me see if I can get James back in here. Nope, I can't get James. So as I was saying, folks, in cyberspace, that's why Reverend Reed said, fire the entire cabinet, get a new team, because the current team, according to him, this team is losing the game. And he went further by saying that whenever he calls the president, according to him, he talks to the president, because the president having to be somebody from the football arena. So usually he talks to him in a language that President Weah will understand, based on his profession that, look, if you have a team and if that team is not performing, the best thing to do is to get a new team. And President Weah himself, folks in cyberspace following us, has also said this before, that he got so many persons on the substitute bench. And if you are on the pitch, if you are not performing, of course, he will have no other alternative other than to change you, because there are other people who are capable, who have the ability to also perform. And then he will be able to bring them on the pitch. So folks in cyberspace, that is the bombshell that we have right now. That came from Reverend Reeves. Reverend Reeves is asking the president of the Republic of Liberia, George Manuel Weah, to fire his entire cabinet. I know people listening to this story will say that he is making a lot of sense, because we see all the economic chaos in the homeland. People are suffering. People are not taking pay. And so it makes a lot of sense to many people, in my opinion, that the president try to fire his entire cabinet and bring a new team on board, because in his word, the current team is losing the game. Liberia as a nation is struggling economically. So there are more than reasons, so to speak. There are more than reasons why I believe Mr. Reed has made this very serious recommendation to the president, because it's been almost 2 years now. This very team has been doing all they can in their power to revive this economy, to resuscitate it. And as we speak, other people argue that the economy, as a matter of fact, is on life support. And these guys who the president has brought around him, his able lieutenants, they have been doing everything they can, and they seem not to get this thing right. And who's suffering? Our people are suffering. Anyone will agree that President Weah came to power for the sole purpose of allowing our people to be able to get an economic relief. But as we speak, that is not the case. So folks in cyberspace joining us here are focused on Liberia. That is what we are discussing. Bear with me for a moment. All right. Okay. Folks, bear with us here. As you are aware, we should be having two panelists here, James Good Flomo and Mr. Edward Amara, who is our West African correspondent. We've been having so much difficulty with our system here. We're trying to get them in to form part of this conversation. Oh, we were getting James, but it seems to be, okay, there is James, he's coming. James, are you good now?
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
All right, James, it seems to be the proper networking is a problem in the homeland. You know, you've been going off and on.
I think that is why giving me tough time.
Yeah, and we are also having a problem getting our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara, who is based in Freetown, Sierra Leone, who usually give a rundown of the development in West Africa. Anyway, James, we want to say welcome back. Earlier, I was talking about the bombshell released by Reverend Reeves, asking the president to fire his entire cabinet and saying that his current team is losing the game and there's a need for the entire team to be replaced. I mean, you are in Liberia. This is making news. People are talking about it. Give a unique sense of what people are saying.
You know, this information came out. It came out in a way that, you know, Yes, we agree what the Reverend is saying. It makes sense, but it's not really, it's not something that's going to happen. There are things when you say you should expect them to take place. You cannot tell a government to, get rid of all of the cabinet ministers or members of the cabinet. It's not possible. I think uh, what I expected from the Reverend, though he was really saying something good or he says something good, I think it should have been recommendation where he should have recommended for some members of the cabinet to be fired by the government or to be that is to change their position to do a
A,
shift
a
in,
reshuffle.
yeah, to do a shift in the government or to do reshuffling in the government. But you cannot tell the president to get rid of all of his cabinet ministers. Even in the church, can you tell the pastor to get rid of all of the members of the choir, the choir department if they are not singing well? No. I think you can come up with recommendations. Though he wanted to, say this, but I think he just came up with this in a way that, oh, I
But
want to say, so I can
James,
make
to your
news. It's not
example,
going to make
this is not a church. James, for example,
it
this
is
is not
not
a church.
it is
This is
not
a
a church.
government.
It
Mhm.
is not a church, but it is very impossible to tell government that is yet to complete 2 years to get rid of all of our cabinet ministers because of quote unquote what you claim to be not working or not living up to expectation.
But
That is
James,
the
it has been done before.
it has been done. It doesn't mean that we should do it now. What we see, let the pastor or let the reverend be able to put forth recommendations that will change the pendulum around. What are some of those? Okay, the reverend already said the government should get rid of all of the cabinet ministers. What are some of those recommendations that he was able to come out with if these people leave today, and those who he think that has the technical know-how, what are some of those things that they're going to be doing? He did not. You can that was just to me an open statement to say the president should get rid of all of his cabinet ministers. No, it is not. It is not a solution to the many problems we are faced with today.
But James, you are in Liberia? Have you listened to folks in Liberia saying that that is a good recommendation?
This just came out. We have to give at least 2 or 3 days to his statement, 2, 3 days, or 4 days, or a week to see how it is going to be. But nobody will nobody will will support that to say get rid of all of the cabinet ministers. Even me, I know there are people within the cabinet that need to go. There are people among them that need to go, and there are people among them who are doing, tremendous well. You cannot say all of those people should go, but let us point out those ministers or cabinet members that are to leave. If we can point out those people who are to leave and then say, based on this, these are the folks that need to leave this government and bring in this group of people, and this is what they're going to do. I think we will be helping the solution. We will be having the problem rather, but it is not a solution. I don't want to disrespect what the Reverend said, but I think he just wanted to make a news. Yeah, it was just intended
James,
for headlines and just for news institutions to run with it. Yeah.
James, don't you think looking at the serious economic crisis in Liberia, that people are not taking pay? You there, you know how serious the conditions are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that a recommendation does not commensurate with the seriousness of the issues on the ground?
But Mr. C, let us do the devil advocates. Yeah,
And
we
that's
should
what I'm
play.
doing. Mhm.
Yeah, we should do it from the both angles. Okay, the Reverend said we should get rid of all of the ministers. For an example, a minister to agriculture is responsible for finance. If we're talking about the hardship in terms of the economy, what are those agencies or ministries we need to target? What are the ministries and agencies that are responsible when it comes to revamping the economy? Is it the defense minister? Is it the youth and sport minister? Is it the agriculture minister? What are those ministries that we need to target? Who are those that are to do the homework in terms of the economy getting strength, getting the strength that we need? Who are those that have to do it? Are they doing it? If they are not doing it, what can we tell the government to do? What the president needs to do to get rid of those ministers that are not doing their job in the economic sector, now? Because you cannot tell a defense minister to come and put forth ideas in terms of transforming the difficulties we're going through when it comes to the economy. No, that is not his job. So because of the incompetency of of a minister from finance or deputy bank governor or whoever that has to do their job, because they did not do it the right way, we should tell defense minister, youth and sports minister, minister of gender to leave? No, at times we have to, when somebody come up with a statement like this, sometimes we have to look at it from all perspectives. We need to look at it from all directions and
all right,
come up
James.
with analysis.
James Lalife right there again, folks in cyberspace, joining us here on this network focused on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sie. Today we have with us journalist James Goodett Flomo, helping us to provide some understanding on the political topics that everybody or most people are talking about in Liberia and also here in the diaspora. Another thing the Reverend said, Jim, is that these officials are squandering resources. What do you say to that? Is that not reason enough for some of these people who have questions to their performance to be changed immediately?
Like I said from the beginning of our conversation, that the Reverend statement is a good statement, but in the wrong direction. Okay, that is, the Reverend made a beautiful.
What is
statement.
wrong about what he said, James? What is the wrong? That's his suggestion. That is a recommendation.
The wrong part, not all suggestions are always in a good direction, though. The wrong part of his suggestion is by him calling on the president to get rid of the full cabinet. No, you cannot. Let us look at those agencies and ministries that are now working in terms of transforming the economy, in terms of doing this job. If they are not doing it, we say, okay, these are the people who are supposed to do this. They are not doing it, Mr. President. Get rid of these people. Let them leave and bring in, while we're telling the president to get rid of them, we should be prepared to come out with names or to suggest names that will come and do what we want. Not just to say get rid of them, getting rid of this person who is going to come. Like, for an example, the big name now in Liberia, everybody talking about, let me point out one minister, is the Minister of Finance.
So
Everyone
James,
almost, yeah.
James, saying you are of the opinion that asking the entire cabinet to be fired has been something too much or hard,
It's very hard.
to put it that way. What's about suspending the entire cabinet? Will that make sense to you?
Please repeat.
Would that make sense to you?
No, I did not understand what you said.
No, I was saying you are of the view that recommendation from the Reverend that the entire cabinet should be fired, since you think it's so hard. What's about carry on a reshuffle or suspending the entire cabinet for some time and then thereafter doing a reshuffle? Because definitely this is something the president himself talked about before, that if you are on the queue and you're not performing, you will be substituted. What is taking him?
Yes, I think the substitution would be okay, because if we talk about suspending the cabinet, remember, we still need people to be working. We need these people to be working or to be there doing one or two jobs while we talking about other things. If we get rid of all of them, who are those that are going to come and work? we can do the substitution. We look at, for an example, finance. If Minister Tua is not really doing what the people talking about, or the many crowd coming out from the public, meeting from the opposition bloc and other Liberians talking about changing Tua, you can not ready to get rid of Tua to take in from the government. You can take Tua out. You can take it for finance, send him to another place where he will have nothing to do with economy, and take somebody that has the technical know-how when it comes to the economy and bring them there so that you can do everything. And it should not just be people who supported you. I think this is the time, though the government is a government of inclusion, we have people from the opposition, but I think that the president needs to go beyond this benchmark. He needs to go beyond this benchmark. Let him forget about all those who saying they are opposition, they are this, they are free position. Let him go out there and get the best brain to come in and help. I think that is the only solution to our problem now. If the president can open arms to those who are prepared, who are well equipped to come in and solve the problem, get rid of those who are there. If you don't want to take them from government, send them to other agencies or ministries, let them go and be there, or let some of them go and sit on the substitute bench for some time. If possible, you can bring them in for the next phase, and bring people now that will be able to do the job. To be frank with you, the country is challenged. There is a serious problem in terms of the economy. Yeah, that is the biggest problem now we have. It is the biggest problem we have. And I think in solving this, we all need to put our hands on decks in solving this problem. No need to talk about opposition. No need to talk about government supporters. We need to forget about all of those things. We put our boots far away from us and open our hands to bring people who will help to solve the problem.
That was James Good Flomo there, our correspondent in Liberia on this network, focus on Liberia. Again, folks, this is the Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C. on Focus on Liberia. If you just joined us, please share the video with your contacts so that we all can benefit from these stories that we are trying to provide some understanding on. Folks, another story, James, is the issue of money being in complete short supply on the market. We are aware that at some point we were told we seems to be having a caller here. James, hold on for a moment.
Yeah, you can get our call.
Yeah. Caller, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, caller, hello. What's your name and where you calling from? Welcome to Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics. Your contribution, please.
Yeah, so I'm listening to the guy on the screen, and I'm kind of concerned about his stance on major issues in the country.
Okay.
He supported the idea or the theory that the Reverend said they should fire everybody in the cabinet. And that is astonishing, though, because when you're talking about firing everybody in the cabinet at this crucial time, how does he expect the economy to function, or even the economy to function? I believe, even if, let me not call the name of the Lord in vain, the situation in Liberia is not government, it's the people. The people need to change their mindset. Liberians need to get ready to work and forget about the bigger picture.
So what you think would be the best way forward? Because the reason the Reverend made the recommendation is that the team that we have from our education is not performing. And so things are just going downward. That's why he made a recommendation.
Yeah, I understand the recommendation. Let me get this right to you, brother. I don't know your name, but my name is Joseph Weyu from London.
And my name is Anthony Sia.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said my name is Anthony and my name is on the screen there.
Okay, Anthony, do you see why we are going through
Yeah.
Reverend is an economist, is a financial professional, is a politician, it's everything. Here in London, where I live, no church, the Church of England, cannot criticize the government. If you do, you are closed down. This is where democracy began before spreading to other parts of the world. But here in England, the church is separated from politics. The mistake we are making in Liberia, everybody is politician, everybody is financial professionals, everybody is politician, and everybody is what? Economist. Everybody, even down to the market women, they are all economists, they are all financial professionals, they are all everything. People are talking things they don't know about. We have the IMF on the ground. They are putting austerity measures in place. Whenever you have the IMF in a country, things will get hard before it gets better. Because they will get rid of all the wasteful spending, all the unnecessary spending. They'll get rid of all the people that are now working in the government and taking salary. They'll get rid of all of them.
Somebody listening to you will say, it's the Reverend right to speak. We have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and that's how he feels. And it's in his right to do so.
Your freedom of speech should not incite violence or make the government look ugly.
So you think the Reverend is in the wrong?
How can he tell me that you saw all the government, all the cabinet, without suggesting a solution?
All right, my brother, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. We got a lot to cover here, and so we can give another caller the opportunity. So your concluding statement. And go to work. Here we are as a country going to Guinea, Conakry, Ivory Coast to buy banana, buy pepper, and buy everything. What we eat, we can't produce it. We have the soil, we have a country, we can't go back to the farm. Everybody wants to live in Monrovia and they're begging everything. Like they're not afraid to beg. They're not ashamed to beg. They are lazy people. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Let leave it right there. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for contributing. So, James, we are talking about the short supply of money, the Liberian data on the market. And I was saying earlier, we were told by our government when the issue of the $16 billion came about that a dime did not go missing. That's why we were told by our government that no money went missing. So the question is, where the money?
That's a question too I'm asking. Where the money go?
And Jim tell us at some point, you went to the bank also because there was this news that even people who family members send them money from the United States could not get all of the money. The government was forcing them to open an account, and I understand deposit 25% of that amount into that account, and that's the only way they could get some of their money. And so you give it a try. You want to talk to our audience about this?
Oh yes, it was about this issue that has to do with you getting your money. You know, at first, though currently the government, that is banks are now giving 100%. If you go for your money, you get everything in US dollar, that is the United States dollar. When I got this information, where everyone started carrying it around, that the government is forcing people to create bank accounts, and everyone is also forced not to, or no one is getting their full money. If you have 200, at time they will only give you 100 and tell you to come back for the remainder, or give you 75 to ask you to come back for a remainder. So I try to do a follow-up due to my followers and other Liberians who said we need people who will get in there like you to go and verify whether this information is okay. And I had a friend who at that time his brother planned to send him $300. Planned to send him $300, and he was like, finding means to have this money, because if you go to the bank here, you need to get a voter registration card or your work, that is the citizen ID card. You need to have it before you get it. Besides that, you can't just get your money from any ordinary ID card. And I told him I already have my voter card, and since you have to go and pay $5 to get a citizen card, I think I can go and get your money. Tell your brother to send the money in my name. If the money comes in my name, I will be able to go to the bank and get the money for you. He went through it. They sent the money. So when they sent the money to me, with this already in mind, planning to go out there and do verification, I took this young brother with me. We went to the bank. My verifications were about knowing whether people were being asked to get only a few of their money and come back for the remainder, and to also open a bank account. We went to the first bank where we met a lady. I asked her, that was sometime in last month. When we got there, I talked to her. I told her I came for my money and I need to do this. She told me no liberty. There's no money in the bank. I said
there was no Liberian dollar in the bank.
She told me no money. In fact, system down. That was the first statement. She told me system down. I told her, oh, when people deposit in, no system can be done. But to withdraw, that's the time system always going down.
So Jim, has officials in the bank been able to say to you or anybody why they don't have money at the banks? Is it that somebody borrowed the money from them and has not paid back? Because the bank should be the one having the money.
There is a U-turn there. There is a serious U-turn that only those who are at the bank can tell you that. So when I got there, to cut all long story short, this lady told me no money. We don't have, our system is down. I said no, I need to pay my tuition. I'm attending, and I will be doing my midterm anytime soon. And she came out. She told me, my boy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you this, but we don't have money in here. We don't have money here. If you want your money, we can only give you $50, and then you can 300. Okay. You get call? You want to take that call?
No, the call will hold. Go ahead.
All right. Out of 300, she told me we can only give you $50. I said, why? She said, because we don't have money. And she asked me, do you have a bank account? I was very fast to say yes. I said, yes, I have a bank account. She said, okay, then you can go. I said, why? She said, no, I just wanted to know. And she walked with me out. When we came out, she started to explain to me.
So Jim, sorry to interrupt. The whole story is that it is true that the banks are not solvent. They are finding it difficult to give people their money that they deposited with them.
Yes, there is a serious problem. Even people, working people or business people, some of those who went yesterday, they deposited money. They have clubs in Liberia, annual clubs, where from January to December, they will deposit their money. And at the end of the year, they go and get that money out to distribute among themselves and have a big party, big year-end party. Even those people are faced with serious problems as we speak. So I met several people who went at the bank. A specific person who went for 20,000, and they told him they could only give him 5,000. The next person went for about 40,000, and he was told he can only receive 10,000. I met all of them. They were in an angry mood, and I tried to I showed my ID card to the lady after we came out. She told me, yes, I know. That is why I came out. I want to talk to you. We are faced with serious problem here. The Liberian dollar is not really in here. We don't have much Liberian dollar. That is why when people come for their money, we tell them we will give you this amount. In fact, she was the first who told me that they were working on a policy, or central bank was working on a policy to allow everybody to get 100% across the board. That is, if they send 500 for you. When you go to the bank, they give you 500 in USD. No need to give you liberty or this. They just give your full money to you and you walk away. Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Again, folks in cyberspace, welcome to Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C. James, we have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling us from.
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your contribution, please.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see James as a journalist that don't even know exactly what's going on in Liberia. And then what the person was saying, if people read between the lines, the person was saying that they should fire the whole entire cabinet. He was saying that they should fire people like Miguel, Stuart, those are the main people that get the country going into the toilet. He wasn't talking about the whole cabinet. I mean, for James as a journalist, I mean, you can read between the lines, understand that. And even
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They even made an example of that, as our president being, where back, European back. I mean, when there's a player on the field, you have to, if the player is doing well, you can reshuffle. That's why you got substitute. So if you know, as somebody else is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, I mean, you need to let you go. But Gary, you need to go. You can't be trying to get investment in the country and then Miguel trying to ask for grab. They're grabbing that. I mean, how many investors are going to go into the country? The people not getting paid. How the people going to leave? So, I mean, after the to see James telling us exactly what, what everyone was saying, I mean, to understand as a journalist looking in the country.
All right, thank you. Thank you for giving us a call here at Focus on Liberia. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, folks in cyberspace, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony C. This is the program I wish we taught all the politics. Again, share the video with your contact. Here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. All our broadcasts here can be found on YouTube with the topics there so that you will know what we talk about. And then if you miss the program, you can go on YouTube, just type there, Focus on Liberia, and you'll be able to catch us there and listen to the program. And also don't forget to subscribe so that you can be notified anytime we upload any of our program. James, coming back to you, you just listened to the sister. The sister said, the reverend is not in the wrong,
Yeah,
and he was trying to suggest to the president that when your team is not performing, you have to substitute some people. And to be fair, Mr. Weah himself said this before, that there's a substitute bench, and if you're not performing, he will bring somebody on the pitch.
But I think I said that.
Yeah.
And I hope the caller was following when we started, and the question that came to me, I hope she was listening at that time. Maybe, I'm sorry, maybe she just joined, and when she came in, I was answering the question. I think that is her point. My point here is to get rid of the full cabinet is not okay. Get rid of those who are not working. If you're talking about the economy, those who are charged with it and they are not working, you don't want to fire them, take them off, send them to other places, and bring in people who are knowledgeable to the subject matter. That is my point. But to say you should get rid of them, no. I will go with the recommendation part that says those who are not doing the right job, take them off and bring in new people. That's my support to that. I think she came in when we already concluded or somehow.
Thank you, James. Again, folks in cyberspace, if you are just joining us, this is the Hour of Politics on this network, Focus on Liberia with me, Anthony C. We have with us today James Flomo. He is our Liberia correspondent for Focus on Liberia. James, another thing that everybody talking about in Liberia is harmonization. Some people even joke about it that they harmonizing their relationship, they harmonizing, the government has harmonized data, and the main harmonization has to do with the entire government payroll. Yeah. And there are reports that the government is cutting about 12.5% from most employees at a time when the prices of basic commodity continue to increase. And so, I don't know, give us a sense of how people are reacting to this. You cutting people's salary when the prices of basic commodity are going up, and the government is telling us that they are trying to balance everything out. And once the harmonization is completed, payroll will be on time. They even argue that it's because of the harmonization for which they are behind in their payroll. I mean, why are folks in the country saying on this whole harmonization issue?
For me, as an individual, I am not against the harmonization, but I think at this time it is the wrong time to do that, because the people not even getting paid. No, let's be frank. In the first place, the folks are not getting paid, and then you're talking about harmonizing their pay for everyone doing the same job to get the same money. Yeah, that's okay. If we're doing the same job, we should get the same money. But let us look at the time interval where we are faced with serious economic problems. You know, everyone in Liberia talking about this. Most especially the workers, government workers are complaining. They are crying everywhere that they are not. Their first concern is the money is not coming. You're talking about harmonization. 2-3 months or 1-2 months will pass before you give them 1 month. 3 months before you give 2 months. And you're talking about harmonizing that. If you want to do harmonization, pay on time. That is, the pay should be regular. You should give the first month on that same date, the second month on the same date, instead of you waiting for 2-3 months to pay for 1 month or to pay for 2 months. So the harmonization is creating a serious problem for some of the government workers, most especially 12.5, some places. It's becoming a serious problem. Like I said, their problem is the money is not coming. Then you're talking about harmonizing. Will you leave the money there, harmonizing, and then when will they receive the money? I think what the government needs to do is to pull hard to the harmonization, or whatever percent they want to harmonize on salary. Let them forget about it. After getting rid of this economic nightmare that we are faced with, they can now go back and say, okay, since everybody getting paid, getting their regular pay now, what we intend to do is to carry on our harmonization. I think you can get 1 year or few months to fight this nightmare we are faced with. After fighting it, then you can come back. That is one of the reasons why you see people protesting to all agency or to most of the agency when it comes to pay. Some of them, it is not really about the salary. It's about the harmonization, but it just embedded everything and voice everything out into protest. They are not getting their salary, and again, harmonization is playing a major part. In fact, some of them came out to say nobody will cut their money. They will not accept it. They will not accept cutting money because the money is not coming, and you want to cut it. It's just another bad behavior.
And James, talking about cutting money also, the government is being somehow dishonest here. I know it was reported from the government that they are not cutting everybody's salary. They said they're not cutting teachers, they're not cutting nurses, they're not cutting police, but even the military, we were told that they're not cutting the military pay. But then later on, we saw a memo from the Ministry of Defense where that ministry employees were informed that there was a second round of cutting, which brought a total cut of 12.5%. Yeah, and the memo also went, let me continue, James. The memo also went further by saying this is the government harmonization program that cut across the entire government. Yeah. So the government is not telling the truth. or maybe they're not coordinating in their communication. But almost everybody in every sector complaining that they're getting some call. So for the government to say that the call applies only to some other employee and not everybody, I don't think anybody want to believe that, because everybody complaining about it. What do you say to that?
Let us talk about the defense ministry.
Okay.
The 12.5 something we're talking about, or the harmonization we're talking about from there, is not really intended for men and women in uniform.
Okay.
It's not intended for men and women in uniform. It's intended to cut those civilian
personnel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the people who will be affected, not our men and women in uniform.
And is that fair to the civilian employee at the ministry? Are they not Liberians? Why they should receive a call?
Are they not civil servants? Are they not part of the civil servant organization? If you're cutting people's salary, okay, then why you think they will cut other people salary from other ministry, or harmonization will affect them? Then you talk about the defense ministry, you want to forget about that. They are not in uniform. They are ordinary people like you and I who were privileged, or who are privileged to work there. So I think for me, my biggest problem was going to be if it was intended for our men and women in uniform. But the issue that has to do with harmonization, this is something across the government. So there should be no ministry out. Since they talk about health workers and teachers, along with our army or our security personnel, I think that's thumbs up. We can say yes to that. And other people, you can call it. If you think it's not okay, don't do it to Ministry A. If you do it to Ministry A, do it across the board.
But I don't understand why the government is selective, because the government argument here is that the wage bill is huge.
Very huge.
And that is one of the reasons why they're trying to make cuts so that they can be able to pay people on time. They also said it is a recommendation from the IMF, because the IMF is advising that the government should cut its entire wage bill, I think, to what, 297 million instead of the I think 314 or 315 million. So they're trying to call it down. That way the government will be within its means. Now you have your employees, the civil servants. You want to make sure, if you want to make a cut, I will not suggest any cut, but if you are making a cut, it should be across the board. But to be selective, that means that you would not make some people happy. So hold on there, James. We have a call here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, caller, your name and where you calling from? Caller, hello, your name and where you calling from? Okay, can you please talk a little louder? You are loud and clear.
I'm not getting a quota.
Can he verify whether that information is correct?
James, can you hear him?
No, I'm not getting him.
Yeah, caller,
you can relay. You can read it. His concern.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
My question to the correspondent in Liberia. There are information circulating that government employees have not been paid. Some of the employees have not been paid for between 5 to 6 months. I want to know if that information is correct or people are just exaggerating.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that great question. James, he wants to know whether or not it's true, as being reported, that some agencies of government have not taken pay for 4 months, for 5 months, for 6 months, and even more. He's just curious.
Oh, yes. The very last time I found a story of such was at the Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. where workers there complain of not taking pay for 5 months. And also another place is the Capitol building. At the Capitol building, it's between 2 to 3 months they are to get salary. Yeah. So we still have people here. I think you can follow Spoon TV. You will find that video where I had a lengthy discussion with those protesters. They even protested. They protested at their headquarters in Central Monrovia, where they came out and some said, in fact, all of them, about 99% of them, those who are employed, said 5 months now they have not taken pay. That led to the resignation of the deputy director, and also they talk about 7 months of transportation. Their transportation allowances, 7 months they have not been receiving it, and 5 months no pay. And at the Capitol building, uh, the civil servants there are also complaining of 2 months and 3 months without salary. And other places you have between 2 to 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, 3 months. Like to LRA, that LACC rather, LACC is to take pay for last month. So it's about 2 months now. Month before last and the month I just ended, it's about 2 months. They are yet to get paid because that was confirmed by uh, Attorney Augustine, who came out recently to debunk what uh, what Nabe said in his report that he has not been or he did not take pay for months. He said it was only the month of September that they did not take pay, and they were working on the month of September and November ended. So it means that you have outstanding in September and November now. They have to get everything. So there are government workers who are still crying when it comes to their salary. Even teachers, you still have people talking about not taking pay for 2 months, 3 months.
And James, we also heard about the National Housing Authority. At some point, there was a memo that came out from the director of that agency of government that I think at the time when she released that memo, that is Celia Coffee Brown. I know people call her Cecilia, but she's actually Celia Coffee Brown.
Yeah, Celia.
And in that memo, she mentioned that employees at that agency are not taking pay for about 10 months. About 10 months, and that even some of them were not on the payroll.
Okay, that's the point I wanted to get to.
Okay.
That's the point I wanted to get to. To the housing department, you have people there who really they have to go through some evaluations. That is, there are people there claiming to be part of the system, and the system is saying no, you are not part of me. Some of those people claim that they have not taken pay for 10 months, for 11 months. So when it comes to the housing department, I think there should be serious look at to that place. But as it stands, it's between the range of 9 months, 10 months. They are complaining of it because we even saw a memo from them. So I think the government needs to do something about it. They are saying some of them they just went there in the past administration and they were not employed, so they claim to be they claim to be employees of the entity and they are not part of it, so they should not be talking about salary. And again, they are saying, no, we got it right there. We have all documents to prove that we are employees of this agency. So I think now only the court can decide that, or the government through their record system.
Thank you, James. James Goodell Flomo dad in Liberia, trying to provide some understanding on these stories and confirming them as well. We have a caller on the line. I think the caller name is Terry. Terry, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, thank you.
Your contribution and where are you joining us from? Oh, go ahead.
I'm not getting him clear.
Yeah, can you talk louder?
Yeah, have to do with the government, I don't think that the government is receiving the revenue to cover salary. I believe that this problem will continue to happen. And even if this government needs power, the next government coming. Are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
Government coming to power right now, unless they scale down the employee, the government has to scale down the employee on a high rate in order to meet up with the budget that is generated from the revenue. Because previous government, like any justice concept of government, I think about 70% of the budget came from outside. Our budget was supported by international community. And under Georgia government, you don't have this. So as a result, you will always have budget deficit. There will always be budget deficit. Until this government leaves on power, the budget will continue to scale down. So in order for you to manage the basic budget you have to scale down for the employee. And there is no amount of protestation or because we are coming down to make the budget to stop dropping. Even if people are doing or even if you bring a different person in power, the budget will continue to drop because it's an economical issue. You don't have those or a substantial business that in a country that is really supporting the budget. There is nothing to support the budget. Nothing. All right, most of the big businesses are closing down because they don't have the means to support the budget. The banks do not have the money because there is no enough businesses in the country that is saving money with the bank. So as a result, this problem was so happy.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much for your contribution, and let us leave it there. James.
Yeah.
He was saying that the current administration is not getting significant budgetary support. And that is why they are having so much difficulty making the payroll and also on time for its employees. And he went further by saying, unlike this administration, previous administration, talking about Manu Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, had significant budgetary support. And so making the payroll at the time was a lot easier. But he did not speak to whether or not the current government also employing more people without, maybe that was when they should have done the harmonization for them to know whether or not it would be doable to pay these people that they are adding to the payroll and to get paid on time. Because as Minister Fagon and other officials of government confirmed, right now the total amount of individuals on the government payroll is about 70,000. And report that we were able to lay our hands on is that during early administration or any levy around 65, 67,000. So the government added people. I mean, it is their right to do so. You can't come to power and then you can't add anybody, but maybe they should have done some due diligence looking at what is coming in, whether or not they will be able to make the payroll before doing so. So that's where we found them. Folks in cyberspace, again, my name is Anthony Sie, the host of the Hour of Politics on the network focused on Liberia. If you just joined us, we want to say thank you for joining us. This is Focus on Liberia. At this network, we promote all things Liberia, we educate, and we elevate. You can join us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it. Any broadcast that we carry on can also be uploaded to YouTube for you to benefit. James, talking about payroll issue still, and our harmonization also, you saw the protest at the National Housing, not Water and Sewer, sorry, Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation. That is not the only protest we've seen. We've seen so many protests on this salary issue. When it started, I think it started with the nurses. You remember the nurses were in the ring at JFK.
Yeah, I did follow that story also.
Yeah. And our understanding is that when they carried on that protest, there was some resolution. We saw a press release from the Ministry of Finance that they were paid. And then were many other institutions that carried on protests or had threatened protests. We heard about the teachers. The
students got in the street.
Yeah, the student got in the streets because they wanted their teachers to be paid. And what happened to them is another story. The government used force and tear gas on students for its own problem that it created. You failed to pay your teachers, I mean, your employees who are teaching, or the teachers, and the student came in because their teachers were not in the classroom, and the government went and tear gas the children. We saw those young girls fainting. Many of them were rushed to the hospital. It was a horrible, horrible scene for us to witness. So talking about protests, is this the only way the government can pay employees until the protest? You made a post the other day that government need to do better, that they only pay people who protest. That is the new taboo. If you don't protest, you don't get paid.
I think that's the only song the government can dance to, and it's very bad because government incorporated it from the very beginning when she came to power, where people started protesting for their demands to be met, and government went ahead and solved their problems. And other people said, okay, if Team A can do it and get what they wanted, we can do it and get what we want. And that is what's still going on. And we still have more protests to come. It may not even end in this year. It may not end in next year. And it may continue until President Weah leaves power. That is until his tenure expire, or he goes for the 12 years if possible. After his 12 years, then he leaves the presidency. He may likely continue with his administration because they have created an environment where people have to get in the street to protest for what they work for before they have it. And if you have a government that is not doing what the people expect of her, and people start to take the radical stand before you come to them, they will keep on doing it. If the government was paying workers in time, or let us agree now we have this economic problem, if she has been able to go out there and talk to the people, tell them this is the reason, consistency, talking to them, continuously telling them we want to do it this way, bear with us, tell them the reason why, I think we were not going to get more protests like the way we've been seeing it, or more to come. But the avenue has been created from the very beginning when President Weah came to power. From the 23rd of January 2018 up to today, you have people protesting. What baffles me at times to institutions where internal problems that they have to settle, you will see them getting in the street to protest, and government will send people there to go and solve it. So you see, if you create an environment like that, people will keep using your own weakness against you. I think the weakness of this government, the serious weakness of this government now, is protest. That is, if people get out in the street, they want to get the international image good, they will rush there to solve the problem. And they are also using that to solve problem, not solving the problem before they reach to that point. And it's becoming a serious embarrassment for the government and the Liberian people.
That was James Flomo there, our Liberian correspondent, putting these many stories that people talking about in Liberia into context for us. Again, folks in cyberspace, we want to say thank you for joining us. We have one more topic to go into, and that topic is the December 30th protest. The COP, the organizing organization, or the organization organizing the protest, has made it clear that at no time did it ask for permission to protest. All they have asked for was for the government to provide security. They made it clear that the Liberian Constitution is clear on protest. No one needs any permission from anybody to protest or to assemble, because it is clear in the Constitution that the people have the right to do so when they so desire. But the government on the other end is saying, no, it doesn't work like that. And so that is the next story we will be going into. Again, my name is Anthony Sier. I have with me here journalist James Good Flomo, who will be putting this story in context for us. We have a phone number there after we go into this particular topic a little bit. You can give her a call and then you can make your contribution. But before we go to that story, James, let's see if we can read some comments here. The first one here says, James, what are you talking about? Busa people, I don't know what she meant by Busa people are. Busa people maybe are smart, man. The country going in the toilet, they should all go. That is, I think, Cringing Cannon. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name very well. Doris Smith is saying, which officials? All right, then Don Dava, Les Bomba, that's only the way to get correct leadership from power is by using the ballot boxes. We have Joseph, the Reverend needs to be arrested for spreading falsehood, talking about Reverend Reeves there, who made that recommendation that the president should fire his entire cabinet because the team is not performing. We have Dakina, she said, hello, focus on Liberia and our guest. Jean, that's for you. And she writes again, I see my friend Jean S. Good day, Flomo on TV. Yeah, very smart, intelligent. James, somebody is admiring your work there. So let's leave it there for comments and go into our last story in this program. James, December 30th, we are in December. From all indication, people on the ground are talking about it. People in the diaspora are talking about it. And for sure, people are divided on it. What is the general feeling in Liberia right now?
The whole atmosphere relating or awaiting December 30th is like on a scale 50-50. That is, you have people in support. You have people in support of the protest who are still saying, yes, we will protest. It doesn't matter what government says. In fact, all major protests since President Weah came to power, they did not get permit before they could get in the street. And the biggest one of all was the June 7th. We did not get that permit that we needed to get in the street. We got there and we will still get in the street. You know, people still talking about it. And I'm sure 100% that some Liberians will take the street comes December 30th.
Oh, James, is the protest in trouble as we speak, given that there is a communication from the Minister of Justice, Councillor Musa Dean, indicating that the protester, if they attempt to get in the street, they will be charged with treason. So is the protest in trouble?
I did a similar post like that the protest is in serious trouble. Yes, to me, it's a battle now between the government to disabuse the mind of the protesters to stay off the street, and also another way for COP to tell her people, no, you can get out in the street. The protest is between two parents. One is for and one is against. So in that way, protesters are dangling now. They are dangling the way to go. But I know most of them, they are resolved. They're going to go out. And let us go to this issue. The COP claimed that the government is, misquoting them, or the Ministry of Justice misinterpreted their letter. If you can lay your hands on their letter to read for the listening public. If you have been privileged, I'm trying to get it right here. If you have been privileged to read the COP's letter that they wrote, the Ministry of Justice, though they did not talk about, their major point now is they did not talk about step down. That is their point. And in the Ministry of Justice response, she talked about step down. But again, another point is the COP did not talk about it. Oh, I just passed it. I want to lay my hands on the letter. The COP did not talk about it, but they did not also make it clear in their letter that was addressed to the Ministry of Justice why they want to protest.
James, let me jump in here. I was fortunate to have seen and read the letter. The letter sent to Councillor Musa Din from the COP was clear, reminding or stating to that Minister of Justice that they will be holding another round of protest. Something they started sometime back. They used the word furtherance. So trying to make the point that we started this sometime back, and this is just another one. And we are only informing you so that you can provide security. I also listened to Costa. Costa said that the communication sent to the Ministry of Justice is not asking for permit because no permit is required. He argued, basing his argument on Article 1 of the Liberian Constitution, that no one needs a permit from anybody to protest because it is a constitutional right, something that no man, no institution has the authority to infringe on. And all that they have asked, according to him in the communication, if you read it, you will get to know also, is that they only want the government to provide security because he explained further, when they take the seat of government, people who are not protesting will be inconvenienced. And so that will inform the government to put a measure in place, either to control the crowd or tell people who are not protesters, what alternative route to use so that they can't be inconvenient. He said that was the essence of their communication, to inform the government that they will be protesting on this day and that they understand that there are other people who don't want to have anything to do with the protest, and it will not be fair to them for them to be inconvenienced in any way. So that the government, knowing that, will find an alternative for other citizens who will not be part of the protest to also have access to the streets to get to their real destination. And that's what he said. But the government is arguing that the COP is involved in activities that are, tracing us, that they can be charged with tracing. They went on that they are soliciting money from even foreigners. And so Costa challenged them that, hey, let Musa Din come and prove it and show the records where, we are collecting money from individuals. He even further argued or explained that they are not raising money for the protest. If anybody have seen GoFundMe, he said is for his personal security, it's not for the protest. So no money, according to Costa, is being raised. So the government to be basing on that they are raising money from other individuals, foreigners to be specific, to constitute something for tracing, he said it's laughable and it's just a bluff. Whether or not the government gave approval, they will be in the street. I think that's what the letter is saying. And then that's the reason why you two posted that, the Minister of Justice maybe need to say an apology because the letter did not ask for a permit. The letter was only informing you to grant security and not permit. So for you to say that, we'll not grant you permit because of this, it was somehow misleading. And so people think that the protest is in trouble. James, another point I want to bring to your attention is that Boyeke Koluba, I've listened to him on T-Max show that this is a step-down campaign. And when he was on the show with T-Max, we have veteran journalist Philip Wieser. Philip Wieser, as an individual, had problem with the protests being codenamed "We Are Step Down." And Philip Wieser is not the only one. Many individuals in Liberia and outside Liberia have serious problem why they have to name it a step down campaign. Because when you're asking a government to step down, of course the government going to fight back. It's not going to fold your hands and then you come and let it go. So on that one, Costa is saying, no, individuals who support the protest feel that the government should step down. He even argued that even if anybody says that government should step down, that is the person's freedom of expression or freedom of speech. He said there's nowhere you can say to a government, resign, for it to mean that you are doing something unconstitutional. No, he said that is not so. Anybody can ask the government. It's like at your working place, you can go to your boss and say, hey, you need to resign because you're not doing a good job. That's how you feel. What is wrong about that? That's the argument. But to be specific, he said in the Liberian Constitution, and there's something called freedom of speech. You can express yourself. You can ask your government to say, step aside, you're not doing a good job. How does that constitute any violation of the Constitution? So I don't know, you've been talking to people too, you are a journalist. What have some folks been telling you?
Like you said, one of the problems that most Liberians have with the protest is the code name "We Are Step Down" campaign. But before we come to that point, the COP point here is our protest is not about we are stepping down. Individual members are saying President Weah should step down. If you ever follow the COP first, major protest back in June, what the COP told us, the COP said if the government refused to respond to their, demands, that is, if the government refused to react to their demands, their next protest would be to ask the government to go. That is for President Weah to step down. That was that was part of their press statement back in July after their protest when we went to the ANC, that is the All Liberian Party headquarters, when we went there on the old road. That was their next plan. They said our next protest that will be coming out, if the government refused to respond to our demands, we're going to be asking the government to go. And if you went through the press, that is the letter that is sent to the Ministry of Justice before the result would come out, they were very clever. You are dealing with a smart group of people. In that letter, the COP did not, indicate at this time on December 30th what they are going to be doing in the street. They only said in furtherance. That is what they did before when they went out June 7th. They're just going to continue. They're just going to continue with the June 7th protest. What they did, they're just going to continue with it. And then that was a clever letter that they sent. After sending that letter, they said, we already have a legal document in there saying that in furtherance of what we did. So what we need to do now to get more people coming out, we have to be smart. The COP has politicians, oppositions, according to Bowie, free positions. You have everybody. You have everybody coming together to form the COP. And in there, you have people who have political tone. The political tone part has to do with them talking about the president stepping down. Why the president should step down now? They have never been able to define. According to Costa and most of them yesterday when it came out, I spoke with some of their, even the letter that I posted, it came to me through one of the high-ranking members. He sent a letter to me. He said, "Well, Jay, you see what happening? If you read my comment at the end of my writing, I laughed. It means I was like seeing in simple terms what's going on here. Who's saying the truth and who's lying to his friend? So the COP intent is for President Weah to step down, but they could not indicate it in their letter because no government will give you. Even if I were the president, I will not give you security to get in the street to protest and call for my resignation. I will not protect you. So they sent that letter in a clever way that the government could send, could provide security for them to get in the street. Though they said anything that happened in the street, the COP will be held responsible, or the leaders will be held responsible if anything if anything happens in the street. Yes, we agree they're going to do it. So now the COP escape route is their letter they sent to the Ministry of Justice saying we did not indicate we are step down. We did not talk about we are step down, but the Honorable Yeger Korba, Moali, Henry Costa, all of them, almost 99% of them, when they are talking about this protest, their major goal is President Weah should go. President Weah should go. So now I'm again asking, and this question stand. My question still remain on the same path. If the protest is not about Weah stepping aside between now and December 28th, let the COP come out publicly. Let them come out publicly to tell the Liberian people why they should come out on December 30th to protest. And again, let me say kudos to the Ministry of Justice for coming out with this press statement. This is my own analysis and my own thought about their protest. Kudos to them, because if the Ministry of Justice was not going to come out with this press statement at this time, we were still going to be in a state of dynamism. We were going to be going to December 30th with the intent of President we are stepping down. But the letter has made the COP to say no, our call is not for President we are to step down. So can the COP now explain to the Liberian people in the international community why we should protest if it is not about we are stepping down? That's my question to all of the members. I know some were abused. Like I've been receiving some calls. People have been saying, "Oh, my man, you did, for us, we are faced with that every day." They say, "Oh, my man, you did, you that." Why are you asking that question? I said, "No, because you already fought back. You said your question is not about the president stepping down. So just tell us why we should protest." Maybe that will also make me to say, okay, for that moment, I will not go there to provide coverage. I believe that President Weah should step down if they will be able to provide reasons why we should protest. But if the COP will not do that, I will tell you for sure, Liberians are going to a protest where it is not defined.
James, let's look at the other aspect of the credibility of the COP leaders in terms of executing this protest. Let me give you some context here. The June 7, the COP had post-structural leadership in place. By that, I mean the planning aspect. It succeeded because it was a protest intended to petition the government to act on the economic woes that the country has been facing. So somebody can argue that even people who support the president, some people felt that it was necessary because not only opposition people have been feeling the pain, everybody has been feeling the pain. So it was necessary for the government to have been petitioned at the time so that the government could wake up and address the economic woes in the country. It was a process intended to petition the government to act. Besides that, there were a little bit of coordination. The political leaders of the various political parties, the CPP was part of it, and there was some form of agreement. And so it was executed. And the government, though was reluctant, did everything to thwart it. But because the understanding was that it was only intended to petition the government, even though there was fear on the part of the government that these guys can come out in the name of petitioning up, and then maybe before you know it, the whole thing will metamorphosize, and then it will kick us out of this place. But the language, the message was on point, was civil, and the good part of it was it will be peaceful. It will be peaceful. They were consistent. I'm not saying they are not consistent now with the peaceful aspect. They are. But it was much more communicated in the previous protest, and the previous protest did not have the code name we are stepped down. It was a protest intended to petition the government. Now, when you cut on the flip side, there was another protest that was scheduled to be on the 24th of July. That was the protest that's supposed to remain until President Weah come out. That was the protest intended to remain until President Weah came out and addressed the concern or the demands as were expressed in the petition that was given to the government on the 9th of June. What happened to that protest? This is why I'm trying to bring the credibility aspect or the ability of the COP to perform when there is opposition. Right now, the COP does not have the support of many civil society organizations, many political parties, and some other prominent individuals. They don't have it. Only because the protest is being codenamed, we are stepped down. So a lot of people have backed up from it. Nobody wants to be part of any attempt that is intended to undo a democratically elected government. People are afraid of that. They don't want to be associated with that. So the second protest was more like one that was being planned to remain in force until demands were addressed, and if not, for the government to go.
Yeah.
What happened? The government felt threatened. You can remember, you reported that very day, I follow you, Jefferson Koji led men. And many of these men, they attacked the Liberty Party headquarters where the organizer of the protest were trying to strategize, all right, to start the protest. Police went in and there was a fight, and that protest was not held. Remember now, it was the very protest that made Yeke Koluba to buy pots and said that they have rice, they were going to be cooking beans and all that, they were going to remain in the street until the government addressed their demands or made to leave. Just a fight back from the government put that whole protest off. So how can we now trust this COP that they will be able to succeed in a protest code name? We are stepped down. What do you think?
I think COP's problem is internal. That is, some of those who left the COP yesterday complained of corruption from the first protest, and the COP came back to debunk their statements. So we cannot tell you exactly because our investigations have not established those corruption claims that came out. Yes, up to press time, we're still trying to dig out whether or not what those people said, the EFF, and so many people who were part of the COP who left and said because of corruption, they had to leave. So to me, that is an internal problem, or it was an internal problem. And again, like you said, the leaders about their credibility. Yes, we can question some of them. Some of the leaders of the COP just left power yesterday. They were part of the power that be. They were part of the power that be, and we saw them around this place. We saw what they were doing, and today they claim to be the best people. That's another thing that we should be thinking about. If we have to bring all of the members of the COP and put them on a scale to scale them and see whether what they are saying is in the interest. Those are things that we should be looking at. Who were those that were part of government? Who were those that were part of this government and they left? At the end of the day, they came to join the COP. Why? Can we establish why they had to join the COP after leaving the government? Why after the first government, or when we had our government, they did not talk about this? Why are they saying it? Is their point, important, or should we support their point? Those are questions we should be asking. But
James,
yeah.
James, let's bring this aspect of the masses. All of this talk, the masses are being used as the one for whom all these efforts are intended, that they will be rescued. And for this protest to be successful, the planners of the protest are counting on the masses, the people, to come out. I'm not sure if the Liberian men, the Liberian woman, or the Liberian people are resolved. You are there. Do you see how resolved these people are, given the economic problems they are faced with, the hardship?
To be frank with you, there are people who are resolved. Yeah, okay. There are people who are resolved when it comes to this protest. They are willing to protest even now. If you just tell them, let us go out to protest. Because, you know, politicians are very smart. Politicians are smart. They look at the situation, they look at the current affair, and just create you know, something that will suit the people to get out there. So there are people who will get out, like we talk about the economy that will also cause more people to get out there to protest. They will talk about, you know, not getting paid. The country is hard. They send money for you. You can't get the money from the bank. That's also going to play a major role for people getting out. Even people who were not planning to protest, some of them will come out. If they will not come out the first day, the second day, even only if this protest, you know, lasts for 2 days or 3 days, some people will sit back to see how the beginning will be. If the first day the government will not come down hard on people, or people will not, you know, get flogged in the street, the next day some group of people will join them, and another people will observe that and see what's going to happen. If nothing happens again, another people will come out. So we expect more people to be out for this protest because of the country's situation.
James, again, folks, in cyberspace, this is the Hour of Politics on Focus on Liberia with me, Anthony C. We have with us Mr. James Goode Flomo, a practicing journalist in Liberia, who is our Liberian correspondent. James, everybody talking protest. And the reason people, or the reasons why people protesting are the country is hard, the government is not doing too well. Some people argue the government is corrupt. You know, there's so much wrong being done. And the government is not acting. The government, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that people feel that this government has done, and for which the government needs to go for some people, or for which this government is not representing their best interest. And so many people want to protest as a means of expressing themselves, or like others are saying right now, as a means of changing the very government. One thing that we're not talking about also, James, is the issue of impeachment. Is another option that the people can use through their representative in the first branch of government. We know that opposition members are more in the House compared to people in the ruling party. So why is this option not being explored? Why people are not talking about this? Because I tell you, James, I listened to Darius Dillon today. He confirmed today that since he took office in August, he has not received a single salary, a single pay. And he challenged anybody in the government to prove him wrong. That is a lawmaker who has not taken pay for about 4 months. Doesn't that constitute a reason, egregious enough for that lawmaker to say, look, this government need to go? Because if you can't pay your people, then I don't know what you can do. And it goes across with the other lawmakers. And if the opposition members are more or in majority in both houses, why are these people not using the other option? I mean, I can't find.
I think that's the major option that they should have started with, and then the protest was going to just be a bit up to. Oh my God! I'm sorry, I gotta go. My current gone. I can't make it. Hello?
All right, James, I can hear you. If that is the case, we can leave it there. If you don't mind, you can leave us. We can't have you in the dark. We
Yeah,
understand you are in a proper land. And so, folks, in cyberspace, my name is Anthony Sie, the host of this program, The Hour of Politics, on Focus on Liberia. We have been discussing political topics that everybody talking about in Liberia. We just concluded on our last topic, for the day. And so we will have no other option other than to bring the curtains down. We have been yet almost 2 hours now. We hope that we have been able to provide more information for you. Again, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sie. We have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you're calling from, please.
The Royal Kingdom of Norway. My name is Linford. It's just a couple of things I just want to talk about. And it's good that while James was talking, his current went off. He cannot continue the show. This is one reason why the government needs to go. So all of the discussions you guys are having, I just want to add a little to as to whether the COP is planning or we have step down campaign or the campaign should just be to press the mass. Now listen, the COP does not necessarily have to the protest of step down campaign. When thousands or millions of Nigerians turn out, all businesses are closed. No transportation is moving. Nothing is actually working. What do you think will happen? The country gets locked down for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, depending on the gravity. What do you think will happen to the government? You think the government will still be functional? No. So that in itself is a way for the president to step down. And when people in Liberia are making all the laws about it is illegal to ask a government to step down, in the Constitution, there is this position that in Article 15 where it talks about freedom of speech. To tell the president to step down is not a biggest crime to ever commit. He can, if he wants to step down, if not, he can stay there. But it's your right to tell him to step down. Okay? If your child in the house tells his father, I don't know what you can, please stop it. It is left with you to stop it or to continue. So you will not go and kill your child for that. The next thing is, in the Constitution, I have a version of the Constitution that is open right in front of me here. And it, looking on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of that Constitution, every article has some little interpretation giving the weight or the reason for that particular article. Article 1 of the Constitution, on the left-hand corner here, it says the right to overthrow the government. And that Article 1, which states that the power is inherent in the people and for their happiness and well-being, they can change the form of the government. So overthrowing the government, does that mean you want to take one and start shooting? No. When you protest and your protest is sustained, what happened in Hong Kong? Okay? I have been in Hong Kong many times. Hong Kong is one of the best cities in the whole of Asia. And the people were protesting and the whole Hong Kong was locked down. SPR, which is the Hong Kong International Airport, was locked down. And what happened with the government? Okay, the government became almost crippled until the head for the governing council in Hong Kong, this lady, has been a building. I think this is what the COP is talking about. No, but nobody talking about taking God to join that yeah. No. But because this government is failing, they will find every avenue. Even if you tell them they will take it to be the mountain. And then it's like the Titanic. When the Titanic was off course, when he stopped the iceberg and it was off course, you can see that even the guy who made a mistake for the Titanic to hit the iceberg, he was taking gun and shooting people on the Titanic. But because people wanted to escape, that shooting people, he couldn't continue anything anymore. So this is the kind of government we're talking about right now. The government has lost essence. The government has lost all of these powers. So since the government has failed, that we must go down with it. And we have seen this in the past. We saw it when they go down, we saw it when they lock down. When the government is no more functional, when the government knows that the statement that Musa was 2 days ago. He said, Costa will not be arrested, nobody will be arrested. Okay? And then if Musa comes back in less than 24 hours to see that Spain and the president said that is reasonable. There's nowhere in the constitution that says that. Okay? There is nowhere that when people say the president should step down, it's just of course. People are just saying it, they are saying step down. What does that mean? Okay? What does that mean?
So are you saying that for Costa and other individuals to ask the government to step down, you are saying it simply means that resign, and it is their right to say you resign, and it's because it's free speech?
Yeah, you can say resign. Everybody can say, even me, I can tell the president resign. If he wants to resign, he doesn't want to resign. So what does that mean? Does that take anything away from him? Does that subtract the presidency from him? No. He still remains the president. But then where is our right to talk? In the constitution that is enshrined in the constitution that we the citizens have the right to talk. Okay? So where is our right? I can tell the president said that I'm not going to send his convoy to take him away. I'm not going to obviously hold him down. No.
So my brother, we were about to close before you came in, so I won't keep you for long. But I want to ask the question. The Constitution, Article 1 is everybody talking about. Everybody have their own interpretation. That all power is inherent in the people. What does that word all power? Does it mean that the people is the sole authority in the land? They are more like they have the final saying on issues of governance?
Before I answer your question, let me give you a scenario. Now, let's say that there is nobody in Liberia, people are not in Liberia, who will we have the president for?
Nobody.
In fact, how will we become president if there is nobody in Liberia? So the people that voted, whether you voted or not, but you are still citizens of Liberia, then for us is president. Okay? So the power is in us. What we say, we're not voting. We're not time for election, nobody's voting. Then who will become president? Who will resign? Anybody? Nobody.
One final question, my brother. One final question.
Yeah.
Other people are saying that the protest is undemocratic. And the definition of a democratic government is by the people, for the people, and of the people. Looking at that definition of a democratic government, does that give the people, saying the government is for, by, and of the people? So the people have ownership to the government. And so they can decide what they want to do with it. Is that what it means?
Or let's say about 10%, only 10% is literate. 10% is educated. So what do you expect? Some of these people, and those are people who are making a statement that people that don't even know that left from the right. Okay, including maybe my own grandmother, who will only believe that say I'm her grandson. If I'm the president, I cannot do wrong. Nobody should talk to me. So these are people who support the government. These are people who do not even know what, and they hungry. And I don't want to go that far, but I'm telling you, the definition I just gave, the government is by the people and for the people. And I told you earlier on, without the people, there will be no president. If nobody elect anybody to be president, will not be president. So the people, they should think that in the course of our elected officials, let them think that into their brains, if they have any, that we elect and we make them what they are. And we say no, we say no.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Thank you so much. I wish you have called a long time ago for us to have the conversation. So again, in cyberspace, those who are following us, my name is Anthony Sie, and I am the host here on our program, The Hour of Politics, on this network focused on Liberia. Folks, tomorrow we will ask you to join us. We will have with us tomorrow student activist, student leader, youth activist, youth leader, Martin Colley. Martin Colley will be on this network tomorrow, focus on Liberia, on this same program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony Sie. And we will have a very special special interview with Martin Colley. Many of you might have heard from him. Many of you might have seen him on Facebook. Many of you might have read his writing, but you have not seen his human side. And of course, because this is the hour of politics, we will talk about politics tomorrow. So join us tomorrow on this network, Focus on Liberia, and also on this program, The Hour of Politics, with me, your humble host, Anthony C.A. And so folks, in cyberspace, we want to say thank you for staying with us for about 2 hours now, where we were able to provide information that can be useful to you. This is how we will draw down the curtains on this program at this hour. Again, thank you for joining us. This is Focus on Liberia, where we have a civil and responsible conversation. Every Friday is our debate Friday. Every Friday, turn into this network by 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Debate Friday. This is where we bring responsible individuals to have a civil and responsible conversation about our nation. Here at this network, we do not insult. We challenge you when we bring you here, and we ask you to say nothing but the truth. Again, folks, it was a pleasure spending my time with you. My name is Anthony Sie, and that will do it for me on this network, Focus on Liberia, and on this program, The Hour of Politics. Join us tomorrow. Subscribe also to our YouTube channel. Tap in there, Focus on Liberia, and follow below. Hit there, subscribe. You will be notified whenever we upload any of our program. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.